English in Minutes. Short English lessons for real life. Hello, this is English in Minutes. I am Olivia.
And I am Rob. Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here with us today.
Rob, I want to ask you something right away. Have you ever said something completely honest and then watched the other person's face just fall?
Oh, more times than I would like to admit. I once told a colleague that his presentation was, let us say, a little hard to follow, and he did not speak to me for a week.
Yes, that is the thing, is it not? It is not always what you say, it is how you say it.
Exactly. And that brings us to today's topic, which I think is incredibly useful, not just for English learners, but honestly for anyone who communicates with other people.
Today, we are talking about how to express your opinions in English without sounding rude, how to be honest, direct, and confident while still being kind and respectful.
And for our English learners listening, this is a topic that combines real communication skills with some very practical vocabulary. So you'll be learning how to speak better and think more clearly at the same time.
Now, before we go further, we have a question for you, a little multiple choice moment. Here it is. Which of the following phrases sounds the most polite when disagreeing with someone? Option A, you are wrong about that. Option B, I see it a little differently actually. Option C, that is a terrible idea.
I feel like option C is going to end some friendships.
We will come back to the answer later. Keep it in your mind as we go through the episode.
So, Olivia, why do people come across as rude when they share their opinions? Is it always intentional?
Almost never, actually. Most of the time, people are simply being direct. But in English, especially in professional or social settings, being too direct without any softening language can feel quite blunt. And blunt is our first vocabulary word today.
Let us explain that word, blunt. When we say someone is blunt, we mean they say exactly what they think without trying to soften it or make it gentle. It's very direct, sometimes too direct.
For example, you might say, he was quite blunt when he said he did not enjoy the meal. It's not necessarily cruel, but it leaves no room for softness.
And the interesting thing is that in some cultures, being blunt is a sign of respect. It means you trust someone enough to be honest with them. But in English conversation, especially in British or American contexts, a little softening goes a long way.
That phrase, goes a long way, is worth holding on to. It means that even a small effort can make a big difference.
Now, one of the most effective tools in English for softening an opinion is something called a hedging phrase, and hedging is our next vocabulary word.
Let us explain that word. To hedge, or to use hedging language, means to make your statement less absolute, less certain, a little more flexible. It protects both you and the listener.
A simple example. Instead of saying, this plan will not work, you might say, I'm not entirely sure this plan will work. You're expressing the same doubt, but the hedging makes it feel less like an attack.
Common hedging phrases in English include things like, I might be wrong, but, or, in my experience, or, it seems to me that. These small additions change the entire feeling of a sentence.
And they are genuinely useful every single day, whether you're in a meeting, talking with a friend, or even writing an email.
Which brings us to another important idea, tone, our third vocabulary word today.
Let us explain that word. Tone refers to the feeling or attitude that comes through in the way you speak or write. The same words can sound friendly or aggressive depending on tone.
For example, that's interesting can mean genuine curiosity, or it can mean the complete opposite, depending entirely on your tone. In writing, tone comes from your word choices. In speaking, it comes from your voice, your pace, your pauses.
And for English learners, developing an awareness of tone is one of the most powerful things you can do. It's what separates someone who speaks correct English from someone who communicates beautifully in English.
Now, there's a concept that linguists and communication researchers talk about quite often, and it's called face saving. The idea comes from the work of sociolinguists Penelope Brown and Stephen Levinson. They suggested that all humans have a natural desire to protect their own dignity in conversation. And when we feel that our dignity or our face is threatened, we become defensive.
So, when you bluntly disagree with someone, even if you're right, you may be threatening their face, and that triggers a defensive reaction.
But when you use softer, more considerate language, you give the other person room to hear your opinion without feeling attacked.
That's a remarkably elegant idea, and it explains so much about why certain conversations go wrong, even between well-meaning people.
Our fourth vocabulary word connects directly to this. The word is considerate.
Let us explain that word. Considerate means thinking carefully about the feelings and needs of other people before you act or speak. A considerate person is thoughtful, not just about what they say, but how it will land.
You might say, she was very considerate in the way she delivered the feedback. She made sure nobody felt singled out.
And being considerate doesn't mean being dishonest. This is a very common misunderstanding. You can be both honest and considerate at the same time.
Absolutely. In fact, the most respected communicators are the ones who manage to say difficult things in a way that the listener can actually receive and think about.
Now, let me ask you something, and I want our listeners to think about this too. Is there a conversation in your life right now, one you've been avoiding because you're not sure how to say something without it going wrong?
That's a beautiful question to sit with. Sometimes the words have been there all along. We just needed the right tools to deliver them gently.
Right then, I think it's time to go back to our multiple choice question. Which phrase sounds the most polite when disagreeing with someone? Was it A, you were wrong about that? B, I see it a little differently actually? Or C, that's a terrible idea?
The answer is B. I see it a little differently, actually. It expresses disagreement clearly, but it uses softening language. It doesn't attack the other person. It simply opens a space for a different perspective.
Option A is too blunt. Option C is simply combative.
Let us do our vocabulary recap for today. We covered 5 important words. First, blunt. It means too direct without any softening. If someone is blunt, they say exactly what they think, even if it feels harsh.
Second, hedging. To hedge means to soften your language, to make your opinion feel less absolute. Phrases like, I might be wrong, but, or it seems to me that, are examples of hedging.
Third, tone. The feeling or attitude behind the way you speak or write. The same sentence can mean very different things depending on the tone.
Fourth, considerate. Thinking carefully about how your words will affect the other person. Being considerate doesn't mean being dishonest. It means being thoughtful.
And fifth, combative. Behaving in an aggressive or confrontational way in conversation. Most people are not trying to be combative, but passion and frustration can make us sound that way without realizing.
And there you have it. 5 words that could genuinely change the quality of your conversations, in English and in life.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Keep practicing, keep listening, and remember, the way you say something matters just as much as what you say.
Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next episode of English in Minutes.